we're going to roll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Away with Words, the podcast. It's your girl Bri Stories.
And it's A Tati.
And it's MJ and Kid.
Yes, and we back. Just the three of us.
You and I.
Speaking of which, let's do some church announcements. I don't think I did that last episode. Make sure that you're following us, y'all. We got a TikTok. We got an Instagram page. The Yay Mash Publishing YouTube channel is popping just as much as it's always been. There are 2 podcasts on there. One of them is not as visually exciting as this one, but you should go and live it up over there too. You know what I'm saying? No, look. Oh, speaking of which, I got my first negative comment for your morning message.
Wow. What were they talking about?
They said that I contradicted myself.
Oh.
And I said, life is contradicting. I think it's more about balance and knowing that not every philosophy is for all times.
Go ahead.
Look at
Handle
me.
it perfectly.
Look at me. No, but I don't really think of it as a negative comment. But they did say it kind of like.
It just depends on how they say
Literally,
it.
they was like, "You're contradicting yourself." Like that's how I hear their voice. Like you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
Like so this and that, and it's like but
Yeah.
because
This on Monday, this on Tuesday.
Because we're human fucking beings.
Exactly.
Anyway, but no, shout out to you. Thank you for engaging. I did thank them for engaging as well. Anyway, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon. Like, my gosh. Like, if you want to do things free or for pay, you literally can. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just got that itch, you're just like, wow, I really just want to give someone my money. You know, like, you can do that. Like,
you can.
You literally can. So, please do. And, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Follow at Moments Stew, because first of all, it's about to be the fall, y'all, and so if you want to take pictures, if you want to do some like cute, you know what y'all should do, all of my HBCU girls, y'all should do some like themed photo shoots and stuff and pass out flyers at the homecoming.
Wow.
Or like have
That's
a
a good
little
idea.
image with the little barcode on it so that people can follow you on Instagram, but you have a cute photo on it.
Yeah.
Call Michael.
Oh, that's
Wow.
fun.
He'll take a really good
idea.
He'll take a really good picture for you.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I will, y'all. I promise.
Yeah. I promise.
I promise.
So yeah, please continue to do all of those things, and we thank you for doing them. You want to break some ice?
So, keeping kind of on the same level, because I know y'all watched the last episode.
Yes.
Obviously.
Shout out to Vogue.
Clearly.
Shout out to Val.
So, what is a fictional food or restaurant that you wish you could have or go to?
Them cookies that Angelica.
That'd be different cookies, though.
No. It's a specific episode.
Okay.
It was
When he was
chocolate
trying to
chip.
stop her from eating them cookies?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I have it in my. I see it in my head. But that chocolate chip cookie, always, even though I'm not a fan of a crunchy chocolate chip cookie,
I think I know what you're talking about.
but something
Me
about
neither.
those cookies on Rugrats.
No, I do.
I used to really fuck with. I used to just want one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Tati's going to take mine again.
No, I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Well, food-wise,
Well, I don't
it's
know what
always
you're
the
gonna
bread
say.
from Aladdin in the beginning when he was giving it to Abu and they broke it.
Okay.
When they broke it.
And then
Fuck you.
I kind of just really loved the restaurant in Ratatouille.
Yes.
I wouldn't
don't-
have taken any of those.
Okay, good.
Well, yeah, because of Rat is cooking. But, I mean, you don't know that when you're like.
Yeah.
But
How
also,
they made the food looked good at the end
the
of the
food
day.
did look good. They made Ratatouille look good, and I don't like Ratatouille.
Yeah.
So.
I want to try
I can't
it.
even watch that. Like, I can't watch that movie. I've
I'm
never
sorry.
seen it, and the first time I attempted to watch it, it was just mice. It was just rats, and
Yeah,
I was
it
like, "This is
Come
disgusting."
on,
They were like in the
they're fine.
ceilings and like,
Especially the beginning. It is just
oh,
rats.
it's
They're doing good
They're being
service.
productive.
no,
yeah.
it's very scary. It's
They're
very
helping
very
our society.
scary. No, I would have liked to go to Pizza Planet.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna say pizza.
I would have loved to go to Pizza
Okay.
Planet from Toy Story, and also even though they weren't necessarily depicted as good, I did want to try Proud Snacks.
Yeah.
Try
love
them,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
would
they be
love-
exploding and stuff. I don't wanna
They were doing
explode.
lots of things.
No,
They
but they were
weren't. They weren't great. I don't know how he was like.
I don't see how he wasn't
How
in
it
jail.
never shut down.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
it
he was.
just-
People were injured.
Yeah, literally.
But I would like to have a
So,
bag.
that's okay.
But I would like to have a bag.
That's like one of them like things where you get that one chip that's so hot.
Yo,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like one of those like
That
try it
blue-
if you want to, but here's the
And I-
directions
and
on
I
how
will
to eat
not.
it. Yeah, I'm
I
not
will
doing that
not.
either. So
Yeah, no,
so-
those people are
Honorable
crazy.
mention, I would have gone to the Chill Grill.
Oh,
From That's So
yes.
Raven.
From That's So Raven.
I bet you he made a good ass burger.
Yeah. Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, that's like, yeah. Because I would have gone to any of the hangout spots.
Oh hell
that
yeah!
were
I would
our
have been at the
shows.
den all day.
I would have went to the
Yeah.
den. I would have went to
The smoothie.
what was the name of the place that they went to on Saved by the Bell? Max.
Oh.
The Max.
No.
I would have went to the Max.
Oh, you said Saved by the Bell, and I was thinking of something else.
Oh, yeah. But any
Yeah.
I was thinking about
any
the
hangout
club from
spot
Say the Last
on
Dance.
Boy Meets World, they were always going to Chubby's.
Yes.
I would have
That's a
definitely
spot.
went to Chubby's
That's
and got a
They sound like they got
hamburger.
good cheese fries.
Cheese fries.
Yeah.
You know how I
It's
like
good-
those.
Good
We used
stuff.
to.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Thanks for that.
Yeah,
Check
I love
in.
that. You want to start, Tats,
Okay.
with the in check?
So physically, I feel a little cool actually,
To the
because
touch.
now I don't have sleeves on now,
Yeah.
and so I have little goosebumps.
Yeah, little bumps.
Yeah, little bumps.
Like you got something.
And,
Like, yeah, you got bumps.
Emotionally, I am tired. I'm tired of the abundance of emotions that I've been having lately, and I'm just ready to be neutral.
Okay.
And my attention is on getting there. And my attention literally is just on getting to the other side of the hill, or the other
Yeah.
side of this mountain. And no.
I'm talking about.
And
I'm so bad at that.
spiritually, I feel blessed.
Bless. What about you, McGee?
Okay.
Okay. Like you
Some
just
more.
like you never do this. Okay.
Physically.
It's easy, okay.
It's easy.
Physically.
I cannot with that.
This one, I meant to do it in my dance class. I would have messed everybody up.
Yeah, you should have.
Because it goes to that.
Threw it
Like,
right at the end. You should have.
Michael McGee, please.
I'm sorry. Physically, I'm feeling just warm in my chest. And, yeah. Emotions,
Taking me home.
they are taking me over. I'm not caught up in sorrow, though. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm neutral, actually. Thanks for that, Tats. My attention is on our anniversary. Because that's coming up. So
That
we
sounds
got
like
some
from
things.
Living Single.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, our
The
anniversary.
sounds. The sounds.
Just embedded in
That's
our minds.
sticking in our
I love
minds.
that. That makes
Since
me happy.
childhood, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
My attention is on our anniversary and making sure that's going to be a good time. 6
It's
years,
gonna be
baby.
so good. I'm gonna get bent over there
I hope
in
so.
celebration.
I would love that.
Okay.
I like how you just didn't react to just absurd. Like,
And my spirituality. We're talking.
yeah,
We're talking about some things.
I love that.
We're talking.
You're in conversation.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Physically, I'm hungry. Emotionally, I feel joy. My attention is currently on releasing yearning. I want to stop wanting things, like for real. And spiritually, I feel like right where I'm meant to be.
Got it.
You know? So, thank you all for indulging me in this conversation today. This conversation is about something that I came across on someone's Instagram story a couple weeks ago, and I was like, it like really made me be like, what? And so, I wish I had the tweet. That would have kind of helped. But basically, somebody put on their story a tweet where someone said that women lose their sex drives at a higher rate than men do in heterosexual long-term relationships. Okay? So, at first glance, I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like that would be the case. But then I thought about exactly what they were saying, and I was like, I'm going to do some research on that. So I did. So I looked online, and I came across an article, and it was extremely informative, and it was based on studies that have actually been that have been taking place for maybe like 30 years now. And it's basically just about all of the misconceptions that we have about women's sexuality as opposed to men's, and the fact that women are more likely to check out than men are in their own heterosexual relationships. And you just wouldn't, that didn't like make sense to me because of what I felt like I've always known, what we've been socialized to understand about heterosexual relationships and about men like needing sex more than women do, and like maybe they get bored with their partners, and like why, like what causes men to step out on their relationships, which seems like happens more than women do or whatever. So I kind of just took some notes on the things that I was reading, and I just wanted to bring it to you all here and see what conversation is birthed from it. So I'm going to just go through some of my notes and start there. The first thing that we have to, that I think that I thought it was important that they started the conversation about was just about why we have so many misconceptions about the difference between men and women and our sexuality. And it's because the 30 most notable sexologists, so the 30 people that we claim are like, this is who we go to. So if I went to school for sexology, like these are the people that I'm reading from. Mm-hmm. Out of those 30 people, 5 of them are women. So for all of this time, and this is like from forever. So this is from like the 1800s, like from forever ago up to now, there are 5 notable sexologists that are women, right? Mm-hmm. Which in itself is like, well, duh, you know, like, well, that's why we have so many misconceptions about women's sexuality, because men, as much as they study it, cannot really, you know, like cannot really contribute to that conversation in a very full way, right? Mm-hmm. And we've also lived in a society for so long that thrived on women's sexuality being suppressed. So whatever needed to happen to keep that idea going, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of just like, that's just how the cookie crumbled. Yeah. So obviously historically studies have glossed over the fact that women are just as arousable as men. So they tried to say to us that men have just this very shallow, like they just get, their dick just get hard at anything type thing, when really men and women get aroused at a very similar rate. It's just that women don't get aroused by the same things, and that women's arousal is usually a response, but the nuances and the differences in what makes a man and a woman aroused does not counteract the fact that we get aroused at basically the same rate. So they've tried to teach us that women don't even get horny at the same rate as men. Another misconception. Right. Also, one of the things that they talked about in the so once they get into the nitty gritty of it, where they basically did these tests with women who have been in long-term relationships, mostly marriages, all of which are heterosexual. There's a lot of studies that need to be done in homosexual relationships and other types of relationships, right? But specifically in heterosexual relationships, women are reported to lose their sex drive at a higher rate than men. Because women actually crave novelty, and that is another thing that we've been socialized to apply to men and not to women. Mm-hmm. Like this idea that like men need adventure and they need like things to be different, which actually isn't the case. The studies have shown men are actually much more likely to kind of just like go with the like what we've always done and just like stick to the usual. And because of the way that we've been socialized, men don't even know to check in and say like, is this still working for you? So women get to a point where they don't have a sex drive at all, and because of the way that we've been taught, women don't even think that it is because of their partner. They literally think like, women just think like, oh, I'm in a slump, or oh, I'm not feeling myself, or oh, like I'm going through something, like I'm not feeling horny, I'm not feeling sexual or sexy, it's me. Women don't even know that they can be like, oh, maybe we should do something else. You know what I'm saying? And men are just so used to just being like, yeah, like let's just do the sex thing. Yeah.
So I feel like I may be like jumping the gun on the conversation, because when you first said like what the topic was or like what the study was about, I was also just kind of like, I don't think that's true, or like I don't see where that comes into play. But they're not saying that women, that the title is misleading what I'm gathering. It's like, because it sounds like because at first read it sounds like they're saying that a long-term relationship is what is making you lose your sex drive, like the being with the same person or just being in a relationship. But what you just said made it sound like it's more about, it's your partner. It's not the long-term relationship itself. It's the
lack of novelty. It's the fact that me and my partner have been together for 10 years, and so nothing has changed.
Right. So it's it's your partner. It's not because reading it was like giving me the message of like, women just don't do well in long-term relationships. But I feel like those type of blanket statements happen in so many different like contexts and then I feel like, but when you're talking about it, it's like, no, the title of this is not like we lose our sex drive in long-term relationships. The title is we lose our sex drives when our partners stop trying to, like excite us, or stop trying to arouse us, or are not willing to give us what we need, or are not willing to talk about it, or we don't know how to express ourselves and say what we need, or something like that. Like that. That's what I was hearing in what you just said.
The reason for the title being that it's the long-term relationship that causes the lack of libido is because, in comparison, women actually have that happen, whereas men don't at the same rate. So the results of being in a long-term relationship being that there's no novelty, we're not checking in anymore and seeing like what we can do, making it fresh and new, is the reasons why women are losing libido. But those things don't affect men. So that's what they're trying to say. Whereas like we have this conception that like sex is so important to men, and like they might get checked out because they've been fucking the same woman for a long time, and all of this stuff, when really it's happening to the women because of all of the things that are a result of a long-term relationship. Whereas a man can just be okay for fucking 30 years and not even think like, oh, maybe we should switch it up, or maybe I need something different,
Right. I guess it just sounds like something that's very. It bothers me sometimes when I hear like broad titles for something to me that sounds like for specific scenarios. Like men, I'm thinking that men don't have the same experience because it's also a result of their partner, of women. We talk about all the time how much women put so much effort into, like where people, like where we please our partners, like we care more, we put more effort into, if we know that this is what you like, then we will do this over and over again because we've learned that is what you like, not just because that's all we want to do, but I think that if women were like, say how the woman's unsatisfied, right? But she knows that the man is satisfied with doing the same thing. But if she decided to please myself, I'm gonna change it up anyways. But we don't make that decision because we're still focused on pleasing him. So it still doesn't sound like, it's not it's just who you're with.
Well,
it's not the relationship itself, because the men would feel that way if women took that same action in their relationships.
They would feel what way?
They would be more unsatisfied in their relationships too. If women was looking at it like, well, I know he's satisfied with this, but I'm not, so I'm just gonna keep doing the thing. I'm gonna focus more on doing the things that I'm satisfied, that I like, instead of doing the things that I know he likes because that makes him happy. But they would feel the same way.
The point that they're making is that for a man, over familiarization is not an issue. So like once a woman decides like, oh, I know that he likes this, I'm going to keep doing this, she can do it for 10 years and be fine. But a woman doesn't work that way.
Right.
So that's the whole point. The whole point is that women need the novelty and aren't getting it in long-term relationships.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the whole point. The whole point is that they don't get novelty because they're in a relationship with the same person for 20 years. When a man,
I don't agree.
Where do
not
you get
because
novelty?
You're in a relationship with the same person for 20 years, but because of how that relationship is going for that 20 years.
But also,
you can talk to other couples are like, it's all about what you make your experience and what you and your partner decide
but
that
you have to think about the women in which they're conducting these studies on, right? You're talking from a place that might sound common, but it's actually really rare. Like, most women have never been socialized to defend themselves when it comes to being pleased sexually. Most women have not been socialized to even enjoy sex.
Right.
Like,
and I get that, especially me being
point.
like, it's not that I'm not saying that I don't get, I just like, anytime we have conversations or we talk about relationships or sex or anything, I always go back to how women have to learn, or just people, period, have to learn that it's not so much this blanket statement of just, oh, so what I will take from that is being in a long-term relationship won't satisfy me or something, like sexually, when it's really like being in a relationship and not expressing yourself or not demanding what you need is what, you know, or getting what you look for, or finding a partner that wants to. But that's a relationship.
I know,
the semantics are what makes.
But no, so like, here's the thing. They're just trying to shed a light on the misconception that we have, which is men need novelty, men need adventure, men get bored. This is why men cheat, because they've been with the same woman for so long. How could you possibly expect a man to not have roaming eyes and things when he's been with the same woman for so long? So we're socialized to believe that women don't have that issue. So what they're saying is, actually, scientifically, women do have that. And not only do they have it at a much higher rate than men do, but they are not socialized to do anything about it. That's the only thing that they're saying. They're not saying that, like, it's right, or that that's everybody's case, or that you should take this and think like, oh, so long-term relationships are useless then. No, they're literally just saying that, like, something that y'all don't seem to know is that women actually want sex and novelty and adventure just as much as men do, actually oftentimes more. And men are much more willing to settle for, the old whatever. Yeah. Like, you know, like, however you made my dick. Yeah, like, however you made my dick squirt 3 years ago, it still works today. Yeah, you know, and like, men don't have this, like, thing in them that's like, oh, I just need something else. It's just not working for me. Whereas women, we have to be kind of like cranked up to get to the point of, like, even arousal. You know what I'm saying? In a different way. In a deeper
talk
way.
about how we're like flip-flopped too.
Yeah, the older we get.
Yeah, like when you start getting into that 20 and 30 and 50, 40-year relationship, women are just now getting to the space where now they want to spice it up, and men are in the space of, like, I did that.
Everything's
like I had that stage,
like,
where I was like, he's like, I had my adventure where I was doing this and trying that, and now they're like, now I'm excited to chill. You know, now I'm excited to have the norm, because for them that is different from what they were doing the other 20 years. And women are like, no, I wasn't doing shit for this long, and now I'm ready to have fun.
Yeah. I just thought that it was really interesting too, because they were saying, like, how little women cheat and step out on their relationships in comparison to men. And what we think about that, we think, because it's like, oh, because sex is so much of a process for women, and oh, it has so much more to do with other factors, and it's not just a physical thing, when actually it's literally just the way that we were socialized. And they actually did, they pulled up statistics from 1971, where in 1971, over half of the population, like something like 70-something% of what they called educated Americans surveyed, saying that having an affair is not that big of a deal. Having that affair is no reason to get a divorce. It's not that serious. It's just something that happens. We're physical beings, blah, 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 in the 70s. By 2012, that number shot all the way down, like damn near to like 10% of people who think that it's not that deep if you are having an affair. You know what else happened between 1971 and 2012? More widespread information about how women are just as sexual beings as men are. So immediately they're like, no, not if a woman does it. Then we start putting all of this other energy in the media through we're socialized to believe so many things from the things that we watch. And so now they're pumping out this story of like, yeah, when guys do it, boys will be boys, right? But when women do it, it's like way more meticulous, like it's way more thought put into it. It's terrible, it's egregious. And so you have to just think like, well, you know, and then because of that, we get kind of shunned away from things that are just also obvious. Women are the only human beings with an actual organ that is only for pleasure. Men do not have anything on their body that only is the purpose of pleasure. Our clitoris has no other purpose but to have pleasure. And we evolved in that way because we are sexual beings. But all of these years, eons and eons, and we've been taught that, like, no, we actually don't have those urges. We're actually not supposed to have that. And one of the things that they did too, that they wrote about, was that they did these surveys on women who have had extramarital relationships, meaning they stepped out on their husbands, and a lot of them reported that they weren't unhappy in their marriages, that they like their husband, that they love their husband, that things are going well, I'm taken care of, but it's literally coming from a space of needing the novelty. And it's like, that's such a space that I feel like we've always carved out for men, where it's like, men need you, men are visual beings, you got to spice it up, you got to do this, do that. And it's like, I've never heard that applied to women. Right. And to like hear that they've actually done scientific studies and surveys on women who have stepped out on their husbands, and more than a third of them reported, like, no, it's not that I didn't fuck with my husband. It's just that I just really, really needed something else. Like, I literally could not keep fucking going on like this mundane routine that we set up. Not that I don't love and value it and appreciate it, but I genuinely needed something else. And I thought that was like very fascinating, because as quote unquote liberated as I am, I've always felt so liberated, because I felt like, oh, I'm the odd one out. Like, I'm the woman that, like, is, puts my sexuality above some things, and, like, I'm open about it and I'm honest, because I've been taught to believe that that's not a womanly thing, Yeah. And so I just thought that it was really fascinating.
It's sad, too, because I feel like women have such a small window of time where it's looked at as appropriate for you to express your sexual, desires or needs or wants. Yeah. It can't be too old and it can't be too young. Wow. We are in a small bubble of, I want to say, maybe like 20 to 40.
Right.
If
I'm
maybe.
going to say 20 years.
Yeah. If that, 20 might be seeming too young.
Maybe 30.
Yeah,
maybe 20 to 30. But we are in a short window of time, like, where we're allowed to express ourselves, and it's looked at as like, oh, I get it. That's acceptable. And while doing it, we have to look a certain way, be a certain type of woman, for it to be okay. And I like, that's the reason, partially, if not most of the reason, why they didn't have that information or these studies, because if it's related to what I said earlier about how women hit their peak like later in life, and now, you got like 50-year-olds that are stepping out on their marriages for these reasons. Yeah. They're not doing studies on them because they're looking at that like, why would you even be having sex? Or like, why are you even that? You shouldn't even be that sexual at that age, at 50 and 60. That shouldn't even be a thing to you anymore. So they're not, when they're doing these studies,
or for so many reasons, that's when it becomes a thing.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm sure, like, back in the days, you're talking about these sexologists that have been doing this since the 1800s and stuff. When they were conducting these studies, they found that small pool of women that fit between that 20 to 30 that probably were pretty, or whoever they deemed as, we actually care about how she feels about sex. Yeah, and those are the ones that they, that did the questionnaire, who they did the study on, and those are the ones that they got the questions from, where there's so many other women that just don't fit that criteria, but they just didn't want to hear them. Right. They're like, well, if she's not doing it, you shouldn't be either.
And so they have these misconceptions of just like, well, women aren't as sexual as men, and they don't need sex, and they don't need novelty. They don't need, and it's just like, it blew my mind so much that, like, because it feels like such a duh. Like, yeah, we're fucking human beings, and like, I know enough about my own sexuality to know, like, no, I be wanting sex. My friends be wanting sex. Like, we talk about this all the time. Like, I know girls, women who talk about and want sex more. I don't even be hearing niggas talk about sex the way that some of me and some of my friends do. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, I felt like that should have just been more, like, that shouldn't have blew me away. Like, it should have been like, yeah, that makes sense that women get bored after being with a nigga for 25 years. Like, you know, but no, I thought that was so interesting. And I also appreciated the author, before, and this has been coming up a lot for me for some reason. I wonder why, but I actually was listening to the Therapy for Black Girls podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I just started listening to that podcast, and for some reason, I decided to start from the beginning. So the episode that I'm referring to is like maybe 4 or 5 years old at this point, but she had a counselor on there, and I can't remember the title that she used, but like her title, like she specializes in adultery. Like she only counsels couples that have gone through an affair, and that's like her whole thing. And so she was talking about how there are so many different types of affairs, that there are actually like 7 types of affairs and 7 ways to go about like healing from those things, and like 7 ways to approach those types of affairs, right? And I had never heard that before. I had never heard this idea of like, because I think that a lot of times, I think I've always been a little bit open about it, but for the most part, we all just have this universal idea of like, you cheat, like you stepped on your partner, like that. It is what it is. But she had such a like a broader explanation about why those things happen. She did make it clear that she's not saying that it's ever okay, but she was just saying that like, especially if you're in a marriage, and so many women stay with their husbands and they end up being way less fulfilled because they just decided to stick it out, whether it's because that was the right thing to do, or they're Christian and like very religious, and in some religions they don't really think highly of divorces, or whatever the case might be that causes you to stay, but you don't heal, and you don't actually talk about it, and you don't actually figure out like what happened that brought them to this point. And so hearing her talk about that, and then being exposed to this article that I read too, where this woman was very adamant about saying stepping out instead of saying cheating, because she was just saying like, sometimes like it's just not that egregious as far as an intention goes, you know? And I just thought that it was really interesting, and I'm not sure why all of this is coming into my sight. I don't got no partner at all.
Do you think there is a difference? Do you see a difference in cheating and stepping out?
I think that as a person who values like words and the definition of words, I can appreciate her wanting to say something a little less like harsh than cheating, because cheating is like you cheated, like you absolutely did something bad and you did it on purpose, you know? And it's like, I can understand why, coming from a standpoint, because I would think that she has the same type of philosophy as that counselor, whereas like there's so many reasons why people cheat, and so many like paths down it's just more than just like you did this really bad thing. So I would think that she thinks of it that way, and stepping out sounds a little less egregious than cheating. So I can appreciate that, and I can like understand why she would do that. And so like, as you can hear in the last 2 episodes, like I've been trying that on, like saying stepping out instead of cheating. And I also think that it's something like really, I think it's something important about making all of our experiences human experiences, because sometimes things happen and we automatically just like call somebody something that demonizes them and villainizes them, you know? And it creates like this automatic separation between us and the aggressor or the person who did the wrong thing. And so I can kind of appreciate just wanting to have a little bit more empathy and compassion in the way that we speak about those things, so that we're not closing ourselves off, because I think sometimes that language closes us off, where it's just like, well, it is what it is. She cheated. She's a cheater. That's it, you know? Yeah. Whereas if you say somebody stepped out, it kind of makes you be like, how so? Why? You know, like it kind of feels like a little bit more open.
I don't like that. I think that I'm not gonna say I don't like that, because that's not true. Like you said, I can appreciate the nuances of what may make those two different. Yeah. But I think that for some people, I think that giving it that different language can turn into just giving certain people just like a cop out, you know, or it turns into you're not holding your partner truly accountable for what happened or what was done to you, because now you've like somebody's giving you the okay to dress it up like in a word that like sounds better or something, instead of, and it's not to say that you can't be back with this person or want to work things out. But I do think that women and men, like, you have to be honest with yourself about what has happened to you in order to move forward. And sometimes cheating is an egregious act, you know? And so it's like, no matter how you say it or what led up to it, if the agreement is that this is a monogamous relationship and then you do something that's outside of that, it is an egregious act. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with acknowledging that and then saying, you know, but we are choosing to move forward, or acknowledging it so that you can truly realize what happened to me. Like, I don't need to move forward. I do need to call this like it is so I can say, like, yeah, he is a cheater or she is a cheater. You know?
I just, I understand what you mean, but, like, as a person who's made a lot of mistakes, I would hate to just be called by a thing that I did. You know what I'm saying? And I do think that intention matters. And it's absolutely not everything. You cannot ignore the impact ever. You can't ignore the impact ever. And if you are doing that, then you're not being a very good person, in my opinion. But, like, I just don't. I think I like the term stepped out because it's there's no derivative of that you can call a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody cheated, it's like they're a cheater. You know how quickly we go from that verb to this noun. You know, it's like I just feel like that's, like, kind of harsh. Yeah. But I think that calling it stepping out certainly doesn't mean that we act like it's a pretty thing, or that means, like, oh, it was a good thing. We still talk about the ways in which you impeded upon my boundaries. You still, and like, if you have someone like that counselor lady, she was saying she counsels people no matter what their plan is. Like, when a woman says, like, my intention is not to be with this person, they some people still go through counseling because they have kids. They still have to kind of coexist and stuff like that. But the whole point is that we heal. And if we put emphasis on healing, the emphasis on the healing implies that we all know that something wrong happened, you know? And so I think that that's why I kind of just like the softening of the language, because I don't.
It just sounds so casual.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound casual.
It sounds the way that they would say things, you know, like, and during that time period when you said that people voted that, having an affair isn't, like, a big deal, or, like, you work through it. That's the language and stuff that people use, like, in those times. Like, oh, yeah, he stepped out, or he be stepping out on his family all the time. You know, like, it becomes a casual sounding thing. Yeah. And I think it's all about, I don't mind the language itself, but it's just all about who is using it and the intelligence behind that person. Absolutely. And it's like, unfortunately, it's like we live in such a time where it's like you say something and you're meaning this for an emotionally intelligent person, someone that's like willing to do the work. That's true. But it turns into just this string of, he stepped out. Or like, he be stepping out, or he be doing this, or he be doing that.
He be
or
stepping out?
Like, or like, but no, I ain't gonna leave him, no, or I'm not gonna, you know, it turns into something just really dumbed down. Yeah. That makes everybody go back to being like, girl, no, he cheated on you.
But I think that's everything, though. And I think that especially now, the more we have conversations like this about all words, so many overused words and misused words, I think we just have to be okay with that. Like, we have to understand that, like, that is that person's journey. And regardless of if I'm like, if somebody listening to this has that experience and they're inspired to use that term to cover up the true pain of having their boundaries being impeded upon, that's your journey. And I can only pray and hope that at some point you wake up and be like, okay, no matter what I call this isn't okay. And I need, you know, and so, yeah, I think that that's the risk that we run with everything, where it's just like, somebody's going to take this thing that somebody really, really thoughtful and smart and emotionally intelligent came up with to create some compassion and some context in a situation. Somebody's going to take it and completely abuse it. But we just have to trust that, like, that's their journey, you know, like, if that's what you have to do to make yourself feel more comfortable for the time being until it all breaks, because it usually does, then, you know, do you.
I don't know why this conversation was making me think about the movie Soul Food.
Ooh, which part?
just the movie in general, just the different relationships in the movie and everything. But, and this is kind of like, this may be like a little off topic.
I'm okay with that.
Bit, but remember in the movie when, Ahmad did all the voiceover stuff, and when he was talking about how whenever one of the girls would like go on a date, how they had to take the other one with them.
When they were younger, the sisters. Yeah,
which was how like his mama ended up stealing the daddy or whatever.
Yeah.
But like he was like, they also take the other one with them in case the dad like tried something. It was
Is that what he said?
Yeah, it was something
In case
along.
Their date's dad?
No. In case their dad, like it was like whenever one of them had, it was like on some.
Wait.
If I'm remembering correctly, he said something along the lines of they had to always take the other one with them in case such and such tried. Like they couldn't be left home alone or something. Yeah, and but you don't remember it exactly.
I don't. I'm scared now.
And I was about to ask you, like, it's like, what do you think that we're referring to? Because I don't know why that popped into my head, but it was just, I guess it's also because it's another version of people sweeping things under the rug or making
it sound very casual.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm like, because that movie is such a family, like, loving movie.
Never caught that.
And thinking in my head about if that little piece was just thrown in there, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal.
I definitely don't recall that
It wasn't
at
a thing. Anybody, please
Yeah,
check
please
me
tell
if
us.
I'm wrong. Like,
Please tell us if
please
that's what
like
that little boy
comment
said.
and be like, Tati, no. What the fuck are you
But
talking
I think
about?
that, stuff like that, I think that that's where the term normalize belongs. You know how everybody be on Twitter like normalize or let's stop normalizing. And I think that the word normalize needs to like be reeled back in because I think a lot of people just say it. But that's where it belongs. Like that's where it belongs. You've normalized. If that's what he said, y'all, please correct us if we're wrong. But you're. I don't even think normalized, but like casualized.
Yeah, they normalize
this idea of like,
trauma.
Dads be kind of weird sometimes. So our sisters had to go out together, so one of them wouldn't be left.
Yeah, it was. I could have sworn. Now I don't know. I can't remember if they were saying in like a sexual tone
Or just abuse,
or in like an abuse. But it was in no, guys.
Okay.
Guys, no, I completely lied.
Okay.
I just made all that up.
Okay.
Because it just came back to me exactly what they were.
I'm thankful.
No, it's all right.
It's absolutely nothing that do be happening in families.
It do be happening,
but
though.
that didn't happen in Soul Food. He said they had to bring their sister in case the date tried something. Yes,
You right.
He was like, in case Pops tried something. She
Right,
had to
because
be
that's
there.
what she was dating at the time. Got it.
Yes,
Ooh,
yes.
y'all, please.
Right.
Okay, get off your Googles.
Black cinema has
Talk
been
about
saved.
get off your Googles. We
Black
figured it
cinema
out.
has been saved.
Yes.
But no, I definitely think that I want more women to know things like this, and we are in an era right now that is like very, very bizarre. And I know that everything happens the way it's supposed to. So I be trying to just like be a fly on the wall. But like it blows my mind that there are still women my age, like young women. So this isn't even like, oh, we waiting on like the old heads to like get out of here. Like it's like people are still birthing and breeding and growing women who think in these ways that are so oppressive and limiting to themselves. And I think that it is because we have not ever had like just really true access to information about women's bodies, women's sexualities, and just human sexuality. The fact that we've even like separated it so much, like of course there's a separation to it, but so many things about a woman's sexuality is the same as a man. And that's literally a thing that people don't know and don't believe is true. And I'm always so like, wow, like you really think that on a biological level, like women just only get horny if they're about to get married? Like you literally think that? Like, but it's like, and it's so contradictory too to like the type of women that they try to like make us be. They really want us to be like basically just on demand. Just on demand, like, be modest until we say so. Be a hoe until we say so. You know, like, be this until we say so. And it's just, like, it's so strange that in all of the time that women have exhibited power, the ultimate fucking power, that's where I really be getting confused. Where it's like, it's really coming from an evil place, and that the men who are just like average, like regular men who don't understand the ways that they are also victims to the patriarchy, it's like, y'all don't even see that it has to be coming from an evil place. If we all agree and know that a woman is so fucking powerful that literally if every woman on this earth decided that we were no longer going to procreate, there would be no earth. There's no other power than that. There's nothing that men can collectively choose to do except for kill everybody, maybe. There's nothing. There's no collective decision that men
put all
could
their
make.
energy into cloning.
Yeah. There's no collective energy that men could make that would have the same type of impact as if women decided to not procreate. And so it's like everybody has this universal idea of like women are the most powerful. Yeah. And so that's what lets us know that all of the things that are so oppressive to women is literally coming from an evil place. Like it's on purpose.
It's coming from fear. It's the same.
It's coming from
it's
fear.
Coming out of fear, and it's I don't want to say it's like the same exact thing, but in a sense it is the same. I mean, oppression is oppression. It's the same way. You know, white people, they are afraid of black people. They're afraid of our strengths and our genius and the way our mind works. And so that is why they put so much energy into programming us to think so much less of our own selves, you know, or to not believe in ourselves, because that was the only way they would be able to maintain like their status, like of the world. They had to do that. And they did the same thing to women.
They put
the same thing. Every ounce, many men, every ounce of energy they had
are pawns in it. It's like so many average regular fucking men who be the main ones spewing these ideas, these limiting ass ideas. And it's like, it's not an issue that you think like that. Like, I think that all of these little sectors of being a woman exist, and I think that none of us are one type of woman at all times, but maybe we lean in one area, you know, and maybe that's just the type of woman I am. Maybe this is just the type of woman that she is. But for you to try to like program a slew of women, well, you should be doing this way, and you don't see how you are being brainwashed and basically programmed to do the same shit as the fucking, I don't want to say the enemy, but
that's why like depiction is so important, and like seeing women on TV and on television, seeing all these different kinds, because even a show like Sex and the City, for all its worth and all the different problems or things that you will see in it, it was amazing to have this cast of women that were very specific type of women. They all coexisted. They all loved each other. And for the most part, it was nice that the core of who they are did not change.
Never changed.
You know, it wasn't like the one, you know, who was supposed to be like the hoe or promiscuous. It's not like she got older and then like found out like, no, love is the answer. Like, like I do want kids and I do want this and I do want that. It was like, no, Samantha stayed who she was throughout that whole show, even when she did get into a relationship. You know, Samantha was always her. She always had the same, you know, thought process, which is also kind of why I talked about earlier when I was like, it's not the long-term relationship, it's you or like who your partner is, because Samantha, for the two relationships that she wasn't in that show, when she was in love, she made those relationships happy for her because they had no choice but to show up in the ways that she needed them to show up sexually, or she would have been gone.
Exactly.
You know, like there was, but you know, like you said, she was a very vocal woman though.
Right. She
was
a rarity in a society that literally taught women that you're not even supposed to, like, first of all, bitch, shut up. Like, first of all, why are you speaking at all? But also, like, we don't give a fuck about your body, and you shouldn't either. And you're a fucking smut, slut, hoe, terrible fucking person if you do. You know? And it's just like all of this pressure that's been put on women to turn them away from what's natural to them. And it's like, I just want more. The whole moral of this is that, especially for women specifically, because obviously I don't want no niggas running, no men running any of y'all, running how you think, you know? But so especially for you, if you are someone... No.
That's what I was gathering.
I don't want men to
You're
just
like, I don't
run
want no.
you.
I do not want men running y'all.
I don't want them running
Yikes,
y'all.
yikes,
I don't
yikes.
want them running how you think. You know what I'm saying? And just like, I just want more women specifically. And we'll talk to men about other stuff another time. But women specifically, I just want
men in the back. We'll
I
talk
want-
to y'all another time.
I want y'all to just start questioning some of your beliefs. You know, like just start asking yourself, like, why do I think that? Or like, especially like, just start noticing your body. Like, notice what comes up in your body when other people are speaking and they're not talking in a way that you usually speak, or they're saying something that opposes something that you believe. And ask yourself, like, why do I get so, like, why is my ego so turned up right now to make me feel like I need to defend myself? Like, ask yourself when you react to certain things, especially to other women. So if you are a quote unquote modest woman and you see a woman talking about like how she loved going to the strip club, she loved shaking her ass, she loved getting money from niggas or whatever, and you get
I love getting money.
tight, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to be like, I don't need, you just start asking yourself questions. Just start asking, like, I wonder why I have that reaction when I hear women speak that way. And just find out for yourself whether or not you're upholding any limiting beliefs that aren't yours, because they don't have to be yours. And even if they are yours, they don't always have to be. You can let go of things as much as you want to if you want to be free. And it's all about being free. If you're a modest woman naturally and that's just who you are, cool. But drop that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's all. Do you have any closing remarks? I was about to say for these hoes.
Yeah, for the hoes.
Y'all know, I be thinking about shit that don't be having nothing to do with nothing. I was just thinking about the little skit in Swank.
Oh,
she
hey,
was like,
Swank lady.
I love fucking bitches niggas.
Oh.
That's still a terrible mindset.
And if you love fucking bitches, nigga, I want you to ask yourself why too.
Why are you doing
Yes.
that?
I want you to
Why are you
ask
doing
yourself why you feel that. Why?
Not
why?
you love
and because you
fucking-
love it.
You
Yeah,
love it.
ask yourself
I
why
love
it
fucking
fills you
bitches
up.
niggas.
And it's like I just end up. No, I love doing that.
I do it on purpose.
Yeah.
I
That's
seek
on
it
purpose.
out.
I seek it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, you
ask
be like, you
yourself
got a
why.
girl? Okay.
Yeah.
Then you coming
Come
home
over
with me.
here.
Then I'm
Tell
into
her
Yeah.
that you coming home with me tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, just ask yourself why, and for everything, question everything. Like, don't go into life thinking that you got it all figured out and it just is what it is. No, question everything, every thought that you have, every sensation. Just ask, you know, and do it because we love you and because you love yourself. So, with that being said, if you have any comments or remarks or anything to add to this conversation, I would love to hear it. We would love to hear it. You can email us at askawaywithwords@gmail.com. You can comment below here on this YouTube thingamabob if you haven't already. You can also reach out to us directly at Away with Words the podcast on Instagram and at Away with Words the podcast on TikTok. Don't forget, we got a TikTok. Shout out to Be Easy. And you can follow me at Bri Stories on Instagram and at Bri_stories on Twit. And I said twat. And Tati on Tati on Instagram and at Hey Tati on Twit. And you know MJM Kid and Moments_Stu. Also on the things. Please follow and please make sure that you keep in touch with us and tell a friend to come join the party. We love y'all so much, and we'll talk to you next week. Everybody say bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah.